How's it going, guys? Cryptobud here for today. Hopefully, you guys are having a great weekend and getting out there, get some sun, spending time with family and friends, and just hopefully enjoying life. In this video, I'm gonna just do a real quick one here for you guys. This is something we've been talking about in the training room, and I was really looking at the opportunities that are out there in different exchanges. Now, for the guys who already know, there's really mainly two exchanges that I think that everybody is on right now. Is going to be Coinbase, which is usually for the beginners, and there is going to be Bittrex, which is the one that everybody gets in there for the altcoins. The exchange I want to talk about today is going to be Binance. And the reason why I bring this up is because although the whole Chinese FUD going on, everybody just kind of getting a little bit scared with Chinese coins, they kind of left Binance to left out to die basically, because they thought everybody thinks that Binance is going to go under along with the other Chinese exchanges. So what I'm here to do is tend to clarify a couple of things, because one of the topics of discussion in our room was to find out specifically any sort of new opportunities that came about in the crypto space, especially with the new regulations and the new rules that are coming on. And I think it's important to recognize and have an open mind for exchanges that perhaps maybe are in the up and up. So here we go. Binance.com is, a lot of people confuse this. It is not in China. It is based in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong, as you guys already know, is a part of China, but it's actually belongs to China, but it's under a different system. So it's a one country, two systems kind of rule. For those of you guys who are not aware, if you go to Hong Kong, they pretty much follow a lot of the Western laws, even though they now belong to the People's Republic of China. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of strain sometimes with the laws and the regulations because Hong Kong wants to maintain its autonomy, but at the same time, it wants to be open to the Western countries. So here we go with Binance. So when Binance first came out, and when they ICO'd and everything, their platform was really based off of this idea that they were going to be the next exchange in the eastern side of the hemisphere, and they were going to promote ICOs. They were going to have a ICO platform. They were going to do a lot of the Asian coins, Chinese coins specifically, and it was supposed to be something like a 2.0 exchange where it was fast. It was, the order books were not going to get slowed down. You always had access to them. I mean, that was really what it was selling on. And on top of that, it had this thing called a BNB token, which allowed you to use that token to get discounts on the actual exchanges. And so as it was kind of trugging along, it was doing great. Volume was picking up, things like that. But then the whole Chinese FUD came along. And when that happened, then everybody kind of ran to the hills and just basically said, you know what, I think we don't want to deal with any more Chinese coins. Let's move all that. So the volume dropped on Binance. And in fact, there was a lot of coins that got delisted on the exchange. And so now here we are a couple of weeks after the Chinese crackdown. And Binance is doing a huge marketing piece, which I think it's very smart of them. And by the way, they actually have servers in Korea, and they're actually moving around a lot. So Binance actually had, not only are they pushing for the marketing piece, but they also are hedging their bets. Another confusion a lot of people think is that on Binance you have a lot of that they service a lot of Chinese customers, and the reality is that they actually service a lot more of the international community. So ironically, even though it was in Asia, they actually service more of the Western countries just because crypto is so big in the other countries as well. So with that said, I think it's very important to kind of consider that there is a lot of money involved in exchanges that are able to market themselves very well. So here we go. Here is the actual site, and if you go on Binance, it's a really clean site. It's really fast in many ways. Now again, they have an issue with the English, and so customer support and all that may be an issue later on because they don't have the staffing to kind of deal with the language. But if you go down here, I remember when Binance first came out, they only had like 4 or 5 coins, and again, they were targeting a very different type of clientele, like people who were interested in just getting the really high quality coins. And over time, they kind of expanded that a little bit and made it into a community where you get to vote for your coins and then it gets on here. So I think that's really smart of them, because in the marketing side, I think that brings people into it. So if you take a look at the volume, it's nothing that I don't think it's anything as large as like Bittrex or some of the main ones, because it's, I believe right now, ranked 6 on the exchange list from all the exchanges that's out there. And in terms of the coins it has, it's kind of limited right now. But what I'm looking for here is the growth. I'm not looking for so much like, oh, is it going to be Bittrex like today? And the answer is no. But what it does have is that it has a very large number of coins that is expanding on its list. And I think that's going to be huge, because the moment you start introducing more coins into your exchange, kind of like what Bittrex did, you begin to draw more people, which eventually draws more liquidity. Now, we already saw what happened with Polo, Bittrex, and then now we have these new exchanges popping up. Eventually, people are going to start moving around. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that your top 5 holdings here, your 5 coins, are really kind of concentrated on the Asian coins. So if this whole Chinese FUD goes away and everything is pretty much good and dandy, what's going to happen is that the coins that are going to be exclusively on certain exchanges like Binance are going to experience a very sharp price appreciation. I think that's my prediction, because it's almost kind of like they hold a monopoly on the coin, very similar to what Bittrex and Polo kind of have. Neo is definitely number 1, and the reason why I bring this up is because sometimes what ends up happening is that you can almost kind of predict where the prices are going to occur if you look at 2 different exchanges, one on the eastern side and one on the western side. Obviously, the arbitrage opportunities may or may not be there, but if you take a look at the volume, like for example, Walton coin, okay, this one has been on a tear, and there's only one place to get it right now that has enough liquidity, and it's Binance. And when I look at these coins, the volatility is just amazing, and that's where I look for entry points. And on my trading room, in these specific channels, we target specifically coins that are experiencing these we'll call price differentials, and where you have a spike in one, you have a low spike in the other, and you're able to capitalize on that arbitrage. And so I think that's a really good example of something where you could capitalize on, especially as the coins are moving in. Now, the other observation I want to make here is that some of these coins, like for example, Chainlink, went up 100%, 50%, 80% on the listing. So the moment these coins get listed, they start running up real fast. Sometimes they go the other way, but again, it's kind of like something you're going to kind of observe. And so when you're looking at all these coins, and I'm pretty sure a lot of traders right now are looking into it, is that, I mean, I was putting out calls a couple of days ago on some of these other coins, and I just want to kind of dabble with them to see what they would do. And it's kind of interesting that they're kind of following a very specific pattern, although I don't expect the pattern to eventually go out. Right now it's so volatile that there's a lot of opportunity in there. Quantum is also another high volume coin. BNB is another high volume coin. Definitely a lot of these new ones. And so as the coins get in, look at IOTA right here. IOTA went up 109%. There is definitely a lot of opportunity to take a look at. So I really suggest, I'm not going to go ahead and recommend anything, but take a look at Binance, take a look at these exchanges, because a lot of times people kind of don't look at them because they don't trust them or whatever the case is. I mean, I've never had a problem with it, again, knock on wood, but it's something to take into consideration. The other one is they also have ETH pairing, which is really interesting, because if you take a look at the ETH pairing for Salt, for example, it went up 1,483%. So again, you got to look at the order book here, but it's really interesting to see that in the ETH markets, you also have some price differentials. And take a look at Stratus and some of the other coins. They're dropping faster in some of the ETH pairing than the BTC pairs. So again, it makes a huge difference when you're dealing with different cryptocurrencies, specifically like Ethereum or Bitcoin, and you're trying to buy and sell these. There's a lot of inefficiencies right now in the market that I'm seeing that I am kind of analyzing for the group and trying to get those in. So again, you guys could try to kind of take a look at it, develop your own strategy. I think it's important to be open with that. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that they also are doing these like promotions, which is kind of interesting because I've never seen that before in some of the other exchanges. So for example, if you click on this one, the fund token, this is actually a pretty interesting one. And by the way, this one was heavily marketed as well, is that if you buy a fund token, if you buy a certain amount and by a certain date, let's say it ends on the 2nd, by 4 a.m. UTC time, and you are on the first place fund token, they will give you 300,000 fund tokens as a bounty. And then for the first 6 spots, they'll give you 100, 200, 300,000. Now, obviously, that kind of favors the whales and whatnot. But again, it actually promotes a lot of liquidity because people are going to try to get the bounty token. And if you don't get the top 6, you're going to get at least 10,000 fund tokens, which is going to be $200 just for holding the tokens. So it's really a really ingenious plan that they actually have going. I really like this because it kind of makes it really exciting to hold on to these coins. Now, the other one I like to talk about is like Verge, for example. Verge got in, and Verge is doing another bounty program for 10,000 bounties. And so it's pretty cool. Then they have one where they're giving out free gas, and then they do coin of the months. So I really, really like what Binance is doing. I think sitting on the exchanges and just collecting commissions, I think that's definitely a viable business. But if you want to stay current in the space, you have to provide some sort of incentives. And I think that Binance is right now in a position where once the Chinese FUD goes over, and who knows, right? Who knows if the Chinese FUD is going to continue on or not. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Binance definitely, I think, could at the minimum compete with some of the larger exchanges. Now, the other one I'll talk about is the fees, right? So you guys are wondering about the fees. So the fee structure for this one is that they do have kind of a weird fee system where you withdraw fees from for certain coins. And for example, for a Binance coin, if you want to withdraw, you got to pay 1 Binance coin. Bitcoin is 0.005. But if you take a look at gas, it's free. Neo, it's free. So technically, you can kind of get away with getting the free ones and then, moving the money out. And then also they have this thing where it's a 0.1 trading fee. But then if you have the 50%, if you have the BNB, they deduct it. So now it's going to become like 0.05%, which is like almost negligible. So it's kind of interesting to take a look at like how aggressive they are with the commissions, how aggressive they are with the listings, and whatnot. And as we see the exchanges heat up, the competition heat up in the next couple of weeks and probably years, I think the exchanges that are able to, number one, provide security, provide liquidity, and also provide these promotions, I think are going to do much better than the ones who kind of sit down and just basically capitalize on the commissions. Now, when I'm looking for exchange, I'm usually looking for security, number one. Do they have a good security? Number two is if you put your money in here, can you withdraw it with ease and speed? And the answer for this one, I've tried it before. I've used Neo and it works out very well. And the third one is that definitely, do they have a good reputation, and do they have the enough reserves in here in case they get hacked or whatnot, that they do that. Now, again, obviously you have to have a wallet to kind of keep those coins off the market. But in terms of exchanges liquidity, I think it's pretty fun. So I'm not here getting paid by Binance or anything. This is just a regular video for you. I'm using Binance. It's kind of interesting to see that we have a real use case for for our tokens, and I think Binance is definitely something to consider. Okay. Now, again, it's not a buy or sell recommendation for anything. It's just something to take a look at. I really kind of like it when companies are on the initiative for using these. Okay. All right, guys. Cryptobud, have a great weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And I will see you guys next week or tomorrow.